In Ada 1, executed in 2022 by Alex Katz, the emotional register is one of poised detachment, an intimacy held at arm's length. The face of Ada, his lifelong muse, appears suspended in a kind of timeless stillness, neither expressive nor vacant, but quietly self-contained. This ambiguity creates a subtle tension. The viewer senses devotion and familiarity, yet encounters a figure that resists psychological access. Ada becomes less an individual than an icon, serene, elegant, and faintly inscrutable. Katz's technique reinforces this mood through radical reduction. The composition is tightly cropped, isolating the face and stripping away context, a strategy influenced by cinematic close-ups and advertising aesthetics. Flat planes of color and the smooth, almost airbrushed surface eliminate visible gesture, suppressing the artist's hand in favor of immediacy. His use of silkscreen further sharpens this effect, producing crisp edges and a luminous graphic clarity. Emotion is not conveyed through expressionistic distortion, but through absence, through what is withheld. The painting feels both contemporary and curiously eternal, as if Ada exists outside narrative time. Katz distills decades of looking into a single distilled image. Love translated into form, repetition transformed into quiet permanence. In Ariel 1, created in 2021, the artist offers a portrait that feels at once luminous and emotionally withheld. The subject, with her face framed by a sweep of vivid orange hair, exists in a state of quiet introspection. Her gaze drifts just beyond the viewer. The mood is serene, yet subtly distant, as if the figure is present in form but elsewhere in thought. This emotional restraint is characteristic. Katz avoids overt expression, allowing a calm surface to carry an undercurrent of psychological ambiguity. The warmth of the hair, set against cooler, muted flesh tones, creates a delicate tension between vitality and stillness, lending the image a contemplative equilibrium. Technically, the work exemplifies Katz's discipline of reduction. Executed as a silkscreen, the image is stripped to essentials: clean contours, flat planes of color, and an absence of painterly gesture. Depth is deliberately denied. Instead, the figure is pressed forward into a shallow graphic space. This flattening, paired with bold color contrasts, recalls both advertising imagery and the legacy of pop art, while maintaining a refined elegance. What remains is not narrative, but presence. Katz distills the portrait to a moment of looking, cool, immediate, and suspended, where emotion resides less in expression than in the precision of what is left unsaid. In Blue Hat from 2003, the mood is one of cool elegance, edged with emotional distance. The woman is cropped dramatically across a wide horizontal format. She appears both monumental and fleeting, as if caught in a passing glance. The oversized blue hat dominates the composition, acting almost as a field of color rather than mere attire, and it casts a psychological shadow over the subject. There is a sense of urban sophistication here, but also detachment. The sitter feels present yet inaccessible, suspended in a moment that resists narrative resolution. Katz's technique heightens this effect through precision and restraint. Executed as an aqua tint in multiple colors, the surface is smooth and controlled, with tonal areas built through layered printing rather than visible brushwork. The composition relies on flat, luminous planes and sharply defined contours, eliminating depth in favor of immediacy. This hard-edged clarity reflects Katz's broader commitment to reducing painterly gesture, allowing color relationships and silhouette to carry the image. The result is strikingly contemporary, part portrait, part graphic icon. Emotion is not expressed but implied, residing in the tension between scale, color, and absence. Like much of Katz's work, Blue Hat feels both intimate and impersonal, a fleeting encounter distilled into a timeless, stylized image. In Blue Umbrella 2 from 2020, the artist distills a moment of quiet solitude into an image that feels both cinematic and emotionally suspended. The woman is sheltered beneath the umbrella, her face partially framed by its arc and the diagonal rhythm of rain. She seems to exist in a state of calm introspection. The mood is hushed, almost meditative, yet tinged with melancholy. Rain, rendered as elongated, stylized streaks, becomes more than atmosphere. It reads as a veil, separating the subject from the viewer and reinforcing a sense of interiority. There is elegance here, but also isolation, an emotional coolness that resists sentimentality while inviting contemplation. Technically, the work exemplifies Katz's mature visual language, radically simplified yet highly controlled. Produced on archival pigment print, the image relies on flat, luminous planes of color, crisp contours, and a near-total suppression of visible gesture. The composition is tightly cropped, echoing cinematic close-ups, while the contrast between the saturated blue umbrella and the muted flesh tones sharpens the visual impact. Katz's hallmark flatness denies depth, pressing the figure forward into a graphic immediacy. Emotion emerges not through expression, but through reduction. In stripping away detail, Katz heightens presence, transforming a fleeting, rain-soaked moment into something iconic, timeless, and quietly enigmatic. Created by the artist in 2025, Olivia 3 presents a portrait that feels at once radiant and curiously impersonal, an image suspended between elegance and emotional reserve. The subject, rendered with luminous, warm-toned skin against a stark, nearly void-like background, exudes a calm, almost regal composure. Her gaze, typically averted or neutral in Katz's portraits, resists engagement. It neither invites nor rejects, but simply exists. The mood is one of controlled stillness, poised, self-contained, and quietly distant. There is beauty here, but it is distilled, flattened into a surface that withholds narrative and interiority. Technically, the work exemplifies Katz's late-career mastery of reduction. Executed as a silkscreen in a limited edition, the image relies on sharply defined contours, flat planes of saturated color, and a near-total absence of painterly gesture. The composition isolates the figure against a pristine ground, amplifying contrast and directing attention to line, color, and silhouette rather than depth or texture. The vivid orange of the skin against dark hair and minimal detailing heightens the graphic immediacy, while subtle elements such as a delicate necklace anchor the figure in a quiet realism. Emotion emerges through restraint. Katz reduces the portrait to its essentials, allowing presence, cool, iconic, and timeless, to replace overt expression, transforming Olivia into both an individual and an image of enduring, stylized calm.